right, yeah. That's what's up. We here at the pod. As y'all can see, we got the man himself in the house, Mr. Robert E.S.T. Waller. Y'all know what it is. Back in the day, if you came up back in the day and you heard this song in the club, you was out on the dance floor, you was whopping, right, fellas? You was jiggling, you know what I mean?
The wop.
Y'all hear that?
Absolute class.
Yeah. That's what's up. Bankroll, we do
like
not
the
own the
Fox.
rights, copyrights to this music, but this man does.
Yeah. Crazy knowledge. Wax suckers who need a good power. Joined by the fire, assessing on the fader, shaking the cuts to rock the old equator.
Yeah.
Hear the crystal clear manifestation.
Yo, them lyrics, yo.
Taking the guns. You hear the voice of the true act Nicholas one.
I was chosen.
Make all the dozing.
Hosen.
I'm not a brother with a little bit of say so. Freak your mind like you're pumping a turbo. Cause I got a passion.
It's my shit. To let you know why I'm running the show. And on that note, y'all, we're gonna go ahead and get this show started because we got the man himself in the place to be, Mr. Robert E.S.T. Waller, better known as EST, aka the greatest man alive, aka the Act Nicholas one, aka the Sinister Minister. He's an American rapper and songwriter. He began his career as a member of the Philadelphia-based hip-hop collective 3 Times Dope, who started with Hilltop Records, then signed with Arista in the 1980s. Mr. Waller became known for his production, his songwriting work, having contributed to Destiny's Child album Destiny's Field in 2004, which was nominated for the Best R&B Song at the 48th Annual Grammy Awards in 2006 with Cater to You. He also worked with the group's lead member Beyonce on her solo debut album, Dangerously in Love in 2003. Welcome to the pod, Mr. Waller.
Man.
How you feel today, bro?
Glad to be here. Thank y'all for having me.
Glad to be here. And that's just some of the people that he worked with.
Mm-hmm.
He also has song credits with other artists such as Eve, Mario, Britney Spears, Trey Songz, LaToya Luckett, Brooke Hogan, Nina Sky, Little John, Meek Mill, Freeway, Pharrell, Sean Paul, Rick Ross, Donna Summer, Scott Storch, Dallas Austin, Rodney Jerkins, Static Major, and that's just a few, y'all.
Heck of a resume.
Big shout out to Static, man. You know, number one because
Rest in peace, Static.
he's up in the sky looking down on us. But even though the records that we did during that stint on the Destiny's Fulfilled LP didn't make the record, I had a super great time creating with that guy, man. I really understood just in that small little bit of time why he was able to give us Rock the Boat for Aaliyah and, you know, so many other great records, you know, the Lollipop for Wayne and, you know, certain records that's going to live on way, way longer than we going to be here. But that's my boy, you know what I mean? I just wanted to shout him out real quick.
I just want to ask you something, man. When you hear all those names, all those people that made hits, man, like, how does it make you feel, man? How does it make you feel? And you know, just seeing us just grooving off of, you know, the record that we just played, you know what I mean, back in the day, like, do it send chills through your spine or anything?
I mean, it definitely feel good to know that, you know, your work is recognized, you know, and then sometimes you be like, damn, I did all that, like that, I forgot that one or two or that. Not that you really forgot, but you be, you know, kind of focus on what you're doing now, or, you know, just, you know, where you trying to go. But it's just good to know, man, that the work didn't go unheard and that it's in the history books, man. You know what I mean? For, you know, for the world to review, man.
Okay. Before we get this show started here at the pod, let me give a shout out to our sponsors. This episode is sponsored by ASE Contracting, a high quality general contracting service. ASE Contracting, they do home remodeling, they hang TVs, no job is too big, no job is too small. Yeah, I know that income tax season is coming around, so, you know, save that money. Yeah, I know it's a lot of stuff y'all got one done in your houses. You know, want the kitchen done, you want your bathroom done, you want that basement done. Whatever it is, make sure you contact ASE Contracting.
With the wives, it's either three things. It's the kitchen, the patio, or the master bathroom.
And ASE Contracting do everything. They build decks, patios, they do it all. We got another sponsor too. You know, this is a sponsor that we give a shout out every week, and that's Exclusive Malls. Your Moss Boss. This episode is sponsored by Exclusive Malls too. Y'all familiar with Exclusive
Moss
right?
Boss.
Moss Boss. You know,
Boss.
you can get Exclusive Moss online at themoss.com. That's THEMOSS.com. You can get capsules, you can get gel, you can get juice. You know, Exclusive Moss has 92 minerals out of 102. So you're getting all that good, healthy stuff up in your system. You got mucus in your system. You know, it's flu season, so you want to keep your immune system strong. So make sure you get some of that Exclusive Moss. And by the way, fellas, the Moss Boss herself sent us some samples today that we're going to try. Check this out, fellas. We got some Moss Boss juice, yo. It comes in juice. Pass that around.
That sour sop.
Yeah, this is sour sop right here.
Okay.
It comes in capsules, it comes in juice, and it comes in the gel. We're gonna go ahead and crack the juice open. Yeah, let's shake these things on
Let's
up.
shake them up first.
Shake it up real good.
Yeah. Moss Boss, huh?
And see what this thing hitting for. Oh man. Yeah, I'm thirsty too.
This joint banging.
Yeah, that's real good.
That's sour sop too. That's good.
Yeah.
You like that, Rob?
Got a nice little taste, yeah.
It's good.
That's real good.
What y'all think, fellas?
Nice.
It's not too sweet. You know what I mean? Nice and refreshing.
Definitely
Yeah,
refreshing.
definitely refreshing.
It's good.
Yes,
So everybody out there want to check out, you know what I mean, Exclusive Moss, make sure y'all go to THEEMOSS.com, themoss.com, your Moss Boss.
Good
There
drink.
you
It's a
go.
good drink.
Now let's start from the beginning, Mr. Waller. We done talked a little bit about some of the artists that you worked with, but I want to go back to the beginning. I know you're kind of from the Huntington Park area. Is that originally where you from?
Originally from a little street called Chadwick Street, 2500, near 16th and Broad, in the original M. Hall Stanton elementary school that I went to. All the real boys know. That was the origination point. Then we moved up to Huntington Park, and it was the beginnings and the origins of the greatest man alive from that point on. But originally North Philly, to the heart.
Now, when you say we, was it you, your mom, your dad? You want to break down the family structure?
It was me, my mom, and my sister.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. How was is your sister older than you? Or
Yeah,
younger?
she got me by 7 years.
Okay, so it's your big sister. Huh?
Yeah.
Shout out to you, you know what I mean, the sis out there.
Yeah, big
you know what I
sis
mean?
in the building.
Now, you're pretty much known for your style, your swag. Did you get that from your mom or somebody in your family?
I got that from, I would say, a couple sources. One, definitely the original source was my mom, because she was the one clothing me.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Before I could figure out what I like, I kind of was like, okay. By the time I start like picking stuff, it kind of like was a offshoot of how she was bringing me up and how she was styling me out when I was young. You know what I mean? And
As a young pup.
as a pup.
So she was one of them moms that kept you fresh to death, huh?
Yeah, definitely for picture day.
Okay.
Any of them days you had to be fresh, I was fresh.
You
know
had
what I
all
mean?
the flyest clothes back when you was a little child.
Yeah,
little kid,
like
huh?
real joints. Like,
Okay.
we was going to Brook Brothers. We was doing all that. With the nice Corinthian leather shoes, the wingtip joints. You know what I mean? The champagne suits with the
She
nice
was going on
ties.
Germantown Avenue to Shirley's back in the day, huh?
Man,
Leos and all of
I don't even know. I don't know everywhere she was going, but she was coming in with it.
Okay.
She made sure we was right to the best of her
That's
ability.
what's up.
That's what's up. Now, was it somebody in your family that kind of influenced you to start doing music or anything?
Well, with Waller being my last name, did a little research on a couple people. Like the guy Fats Waller, he was a descendant. Well, I'm a descendant of his or whatever.
Okay.
And
Fats Waller, who is that actually?
jazz player.
Jazz player.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yep. Early days, man. The original Muddy Waters.
So it's pretty much in your bloodstream, huh? Your pedigree.
I mean, I guess too, just coming up, listening to music. Like I was always an observer. You know what I mean? So like I would listen to the music, that was on it. My sister used to play, that we used to play on the holidays, and just certain little things, man. And I started realizing like I had a little aptitude for it and a ear for it, so to speak. So I just just start growing from there, to the point where hip hop started to come in. But I was a lover of music by that time.
Now we talk about the hip hop part. Like, who was like some of your like the pioneers that kind of like inspired you to really go?
I would say, honestly, Biz Markie, Rakim, and KRS-One. And I break it down like Biz Markie for the funkiness and just the way he used to like flow on the beats and like throw his voice around, and he had a liveness, that he brought to the track. Rakim, because he really knew how to put words together, and he had a crazy delivery that kind of like made you almost want the beat to be down a little bit lower so you can make sure you heard what he was saying. And KRS-One, because like he was intelligent, but he was dope at the same time. Not saying the other two people that I mentioned weren't, because of course they were. Definitely the R and definitely Biz Markie, but they, everybody has their own way of doing it, but KRS had like almost like a professor's voice, to a certain extent.
Right.
That was spitting
so soundly to the ear, kind of attracted you.
Yeah, but he was spitting dope lyrics, and
Right.
his topics was refreshing. You know what I mean? He was lighting your mind up. At the same time, he was rocking to the beat, and I thought that was real dope. That you could do that
Now,
Note the name, KRS-One.
Yeah, now
Knowledge
far-
reigns supreme.
over nearly everyone.
As far as I know, you said Biz Markie. Is that why you started beatboxing?
Well, I think
Because a lot of people probably don't know you used to beatbox, right?
yeah, that's how I started. Larry Ladd was the MC, and I was the beatbox at first, and we used to go around.
Shout out to
challenging
Larry.
them. Definitely shout out to my man Larry Ladd. But definitely like just that whole wave, like when we go back to saying like just how hip hop started, like you had your human beatboxers, you had your Buffies, you had the kid from the Skinny Boys, even after way after, the Fat Boys started popping, and you had your Dougie Fresh. So you had certain people in hip hop that did the beatboxing, did it extremely well, to the point where that became an auxiliary part of the culture and another facet of the culture. So me coming up during that time where certain records was driven by that part of hip hop. That's how I came in the game. You know what I mean? And it was a kid named T called the Art of Noise, that went to Olney with us. Cool little skinny kid, fly dude, had the box. He was crazy. You know what I mean? Like he had a certain way that he did the beats and everything. I remember him and Big John.
I remember John. Rest in peace, John.
Yeah, was battling on the beatbox. He battled somebody up there, and you know what I mean. That joint was crazy.
Damn,
you know what I
man.
mean? It was like so it was just you get influenced by parts of the culture, and some people start as DJs and go to MCing. Some people start MCing and going to be DJs. Me, I started as a beatbox and then went on to MC.
Yeah, being a DJ, I know I was a DJ, and talking about Larry, I gotta give a shout out to my man TL Hot Runner. That was Larry's cousin. That was his DJ.
Most definitely.
Shout out to Hot Runner.
Shout out to Wayne.
But I know when you said you used to beatbox for Larry, so Larry was the rapper and you was the beatboxer.
Yeah.
That's how all y'all careers pretty much got started, right?
Yeah.
So what was the first song y'all cut? You remember?
Well, me and Larry, we just used to have like routines.
Okay.
You know, and then, you know, at that time too, Larry was a real prolific freestyler. You know, he would freestyle about anything random on the spot, what somebody was wearing, you know, the color of the stop sign, a car that was going up the street, a girl he was trying to talk to that was standing in the doorway, you know, and I would do the beats and we would just keep it moving and keep the cipher rolling, you know what I mean?
It was that what kind of brought out the lyrically content for you to start moving into the realm of being a rapper and a writer?
I think as I kept doing that, at some point in time I just segued into the lyrical aspect because I used to write poetry as well. Like, you know, aside from beatboxing and all that, like on my literary side of things, like,
Love
you know,
letters to the little girls in
yeah,
school.
or just try to put my words together for how I was feeling about certain things. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Can I help you out real quick, man? Cause you know what I mean, cause you know we all peeped the swag in the 80s, you know what I'm saying, 80s, 90s. So
Right.
you had a swag with you. Just say you wanted to be up front, man.
Hey man, listen.
No, but was that the case?
It wasn't even-
It wasn't the case?
was it?
No,
Okay.
it wasn't even that. You know what I mean? It was just that at some point in time, you know, I just started saying, well, damn, let me see if I can make these poems
Just
that I was
came
writing,
natural.
Cream rise to the
you know,
top.
Yeah.
you know, flow to a beat.
Right.
You
Okay.
know what I mean? And like I said, when certain records came out, like regardless of like what I was doing with Larry, I still would have started MC. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Trying
It
my
would have
hand.
happened eventually.
Yeah.
Right.
You
So
know
what
I mean?
what was the first record? Now, you know, we all heard, you know, everybody as hip hop was evolving. What was the first record that you heard that really made you say, I want to do that?
Oh man, Eric B for president.
Nice. Nice.
Came in the door, said it before, and never let the mic. Yeah.
you
That
know what I mean?
when that hit hard.
Like, you know,
That hit hard.
it was just he was dead on that beat. You know what I mean? It was the right type of joint for him to be on. And you know what I mean? He rocked that joint. You know what I mean? It's a moment. Like whenever that joint came on, whether you was dancing or you just got finished dancing and now you wanted to go play the corner, do whatever you was doing, chill with your homies or whatever, it was, you know what I mean? It was right there for you. You know what I mean?
Now, Original Stylin, the first album that came out in '88. What was the first track that y'all recorded on that album? You remember that?
On Original Stylin, man,
Was it the joint with Cool C?
that was probably no, but that I wouldn't say that was the first one, but that got added on
Okay.
to the album because we was coming off of that and another single, and the success of that, and the buzz from that got us in the door with Arista Records at the time, who we signed to through Hilltop Hustlers Records, you know, to put that first album out. So that record got put on there, and I think, I don't know if we ain't put on a Dope Side on there, I don't think. But that record we definitely did a remix of.
Yeah, because that was a remix
with Cool C,
right?
and we put that on the album.
I don't know if we can pull up the original song. It's hard to find that.
Now you can pull up the original, but the remix comes up a lot
Yeah, the
too.
remix. The remix is classic.
Yeah,
with
you know
Cool
what I
C
mean.
on it.
Yeah, because I guess a lot of people like that one. You know, but man, you know.
Yeah, that album definitely was.
And
a
was it
classic.
because he was the buzz at that moment?
Well, one, we were introducing him, and when I say we, I just mean like Hilltop Hustlers as a group. It was, you know, 3 Times Dope had did their thing, broke their ground. We was moving around a little something. It was time to introduce Cool C, and in proper classic, you know, label fashion back then, you introduce your next artist through your artist that's currently popping. So 3 Times Dope was currently popping. So they introduced Cool C by him doing a record with me or a record with, you know, us, you know, with the Crushing and Busting joint.
So
you know?
pretty much, y'all all were signed to the same label with LG, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yep. To Lawrence Goodman's imprint, Hilltop Hustlers.
It was
at the
y'all.
time.
It was Cool C. It was the Youngsters. Who else was on? I think Roxanne Shante was on that label too, wasn't
No, Roxanne Shante was on an earlier label that he owned called
Okay.
Pop Art.
Pop art, right?
That
Exactly.
I think him and his brother Damon were involved in, or maybe him and the boy Fly Tie from New York that had Juice Crew. I know that he had relationships with them too, during the time he had Pop Art, Fly Tie, Marley Marl, and certain people like that. Mr. Magic and whatnot.
Now, was there any like competition between the groups back then? Like
Not
who was
really.
the best? Or?
I could say overall.
Because I know everybody came from different neighborhoods. And
Yeah.
back then, it was like
Yeah.
it was kind of territorial back then.
But I could say overall because I think we was all young and we was all, trying to grab that, that slice of the pie for ourselves and get that notoriety for ourselves. That was the one thing we all had in common, to the point that it wasn't even about like trying to be standoffish, because we understood that, Hilltop Hustlers was a West Philly organization. We was coming up into their set, being a North Philadelphia group, but we showed them love from day one. They showed us love from day one, and we just made it work, because we had similar things in common. I was cool with Steady. I was cool with, with Cool. Tap Money had things in common with Chuck, as far as them being technical dudes with the beat making and, all them different little things, we had a great time together, man. Like, that's why a lot of people initially thought that I was from West, because it was never a over pronunciation of like, yo, but I'm from North Philly though, because it wasn't about that. We always from Philly. Where we was from, regionally ain't really matter. We was repping the Hilltop, and that's what we was repping.
Right. Did y'all was there ever any times like y'all be all y'all together and y'all start battling anything? Not that there was any competition, but
Nah, it's like us, we was like, man, we had schedules on who had practice time, at this time, who was on this day, we had days where we came and everybody played new music and different little stuff everybody was working on, and we gave our opinions on it and stuff like that. But everything was kind of like, on a cool rotation, because we all was really just trying to take advantage of what we was doing, the opportunity we had.
So my question is like, we went to school together, So being, to me, one of the dopest lyricists, in the golden era of hip hop, what I'm saying? Which is, when y'all came out, 88, 89.
True.
Like, to bring the Philly lingo like you did to the table, and to me, that's one of the greatest things that, Original Stylin showcases. Philly lingo, and you was able to bring that to the table at such a young age, 16, 17 years old. Like, how, as you go back and you think about that, like, you guys that were grown, 20 years old, 21, Rakim, Kane, and
like a breeze through the trees, I'm shaking all the leaves.
and I'm, even to this day, like I just can't fathom how you were able to lyrically, hold, the mic like you did back then at 16, 17 years old. Like, how does that, resonate with you, as you think back to that time?
I think one I had a great love for like words and stuff like that from the beginning, and my mom, she kept a lot of good literature around the crib, and she had she had this crazy dictionary that she had from school days. And whenever I wanted to figure out something, I would go in there and look, and then one day I just started going in there and looking up words, period, just seeing what they meant, and like I wouldn't go page for page, but I would just spend a little time in the dictionary and just peep like, oh yeah, that's what that meant. Oh, okay, well, so then it became kind of a test to see, can I spit and get my shit off, like using certain words, instead of using the most common form of the word, or a word that everybody always use to, say, describe a thing. I wanted to mix the streets with the upper level, like, you know what I mean? Like the mix, like the KRS-One with the, you know what I mean, with the, with the Philly slang. You know what I mean? Like the higher level with the, around the corner shit.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
You said in Greatest Man Alive, you said get the gist. Like he was using words like that back in the 80s,
Right.
and when people just really start using words
Right.
like just,
Right.
like, you know what I
Right.
mean, in our culture.
But
so,
that shows you a lyricist, somebody that, like he said, he went researching words in different ways. How can this is what I want to say. What's different words where I can, you know what I mean? That just show you, like, so another question is, I hear how you know what I mean, form, you know what I mean, your vocabulary. But what was your writing style? Like, were you a writer that, just started to piece it together? Like as something come to you, you might jot it down and then come back to it later when another idea pop. Did you sit down and write all at once? How are you inspired to actually write?
I think a lot of times I would like have like maybe a title in my head or a energy or a direction that I wanted to go, and I would just mess around and toil around with it until I said something signature that would allow me to, like, all right, cool, now I can zero in and really kind of like pick apart what I'm saying. And the more I started like learning how to do that and getting the formula down pat, I started being able to just apply it in real time without even thinking about it. And it's like, that's how I knew, like, if a beat was really right, or like if something was really right, then I would have an instant spark to it. And, I would be able to, start getting down kind of like effortlessly.
did you know how to write? I mean, write the bars? Did you know how to count bars?
Yeah. Well, I got told how to count bars. Chuck and them taught me, Chuck taught me how to count bars.
Shout out to Chuck Nice and Woody
Shout out.
Wood.
Definitely.
Shout out.
Definitely shout out to my man, the Soul Imperial, Chuck Nice, and the boy Woody Wood, no doubt. But once I learned how to count bars now, then as far as like writing songs, we could say, okay, at that time it was 3/16s, boom. So then I started learning how to write 16s and make the first verse connect to the second verse, connect to the third verse. You know what I mean? I think for a while, that was I wouldn't say the hardest, but the most trying part of the curve of really learning how to professionally spit. Like, you got to make the second verse complement the first verse and the third verse complement the second verse. Even though we all got records where we feel like, oh, in this verse, that was his best verse, oh, he was ripping it. But it all got to connect still for it to be a song. You know what I mean? So once I got that together, then now it was like basically like fun to like take a track and try to figure out what the personality of the track is and come with just the right thing. So now when I play it back to other people, they listen to it like, yeah, damn, like that was supposed to be on there. But a couple minutes ago or a couple weeks or a couple days ago, it was just a beat.
Now, you talked about the verses just now. Now, what about the hooks? Because like the hooks in all the records are fire. Like everything you've done, the hooks are crazy. I mean, the lyrics are crazy. The written written lyrics are crazy, and the hooks are crazy. How did you come up with your hooks?
I say
to match the lyrics.
In the beginning, a lot of it was due to the overall production of the records being so tight, and Chuck would definitely know how to fill the hook up, because like.
So Chuck kind of came up with some of the hooks.
Well, a lot of it, like the way we would make the records facilitate each other, verse to verse. Like, he definitely would put things in the hooks, because remember, we was just at the cusp of when people start writing hooks to records. Like, every now and then you would catch a record that was just so catchy or had a built-in hook because it was a redone record and somebody was doing it a certain way. And every now and then you would have somebody, make a hook without even really thinking about a hook.
Right. Right. The way they call it a hook today.
Right. You know what I mean? I think seriously, I didn't really start being in control of my hooks, like as far as like to really like create them and bring them out.
Where you thought about it. Greatest Man Alive?
Until like I started writing songs, like even though I would arrange the cuts a lot, you know what I mean, you know, and you know, between me and Chuck, we would piece together sonically what the hook would be, but, you know, but like on Greatest Man Alive, you know, Chuck Nice and Wood kind of had that figured out and already inserted in the record. Like by the time I heard it, you know, Wood used to have a lot of dope crates.
Was that a sample?
Definitely.
When you say the greatest man alive.
Yeah. That was taken from a Fast Waller record.
Okay.
Greatest.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So, they took that and all the inserts where they was talking about, you know, the different points of my character and all that. That came from an SNL record.
Now, making that record, the greatest man alive, that's a strong quote to make for yourself. Did you feel like you put a target on your back then? Because you didn't get no slack for it.
Nah. I figured, you know, because like I said, around that time, like you had records that like had themes, and it was a lot of records that kind of like had themes and anthems, so to speak. So the Greatest Man Alive thing was like, okay, let's play on that. Super braggadocious, it's an upbeat song, you know. But now you got to talk about why you the greatest man alive.
So you pretty much
You know
filled
what
the
I mean?
shoes though. So
You know, I did my best, man. You know what I mean? And,
you definitely filled
it
the
turned out to
shoes.
be a classic record,
filled the
but
shoes.
you know, it was, you know, I wouldn't say it was a gimmick record, but like I said, like an anthem theme record. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, you needed one of them during that time of hip hop. You know what I mean? Like those style of records, you know, were working a lot for artists. You know what I
Now,
mean?
at that particular time, it's like, I guess that's when a lot of rappers, because like, I don't know no rapper that didn't boast about themselves. Like everyone wanted to be like, I'm the best rapper regardless of who I'm listening to.
Right.
So that kind of just complimented, you know what I mean, that time.
Right. I mean, and like even with Special Ed, with the Youngest in Charge album, you know, when he did the I Got It Made.
Right.
You know, classic, you know, George Benson, you know, bass line, but you know, and that, you know, and those rhymes, and you know, he was definitely braggadocio, you know, super freestyle, you know, type bragging and punchlines, but it was in a song format. But it, you know, he would all break it down to why he got it made.
Right.
You know what I mean? You know, at such a young age. So like I said, records like that was just catching people. You know what I mean? And if you did it right, then you had a record that would distinguish you from everybody else that was out.
So speaking of Greatest Man Alive, like, is it true that you guys, when y'all did Arsenio Hall show, that was the record y'all was supposed to kick, but something happened and y'all ended up doing Dividends?
You know what? That might be the case, but that, you know, it was so long ago, man. You know, the one thing I do remember is we were coming from doing a show down south, and we had got on one of those charter planes to come down there from where we were from previously, and my voice was so crazy that I really couldn't even perform that show.
Oh wow!
And then after that, we got the Arsenio show, and so it was just a whole lot of, you know, taking care of the voice, getting the voice back right, even though everything mostly was done to the 2-track. But then there was certain parts where we had to speak and we had to go live.
Right.
So, you know, the one thing I remember is just saying, damn, we about to do Arsenio. Damn, all right. Yo, you can't mess up on Arsenio. No. I'm like, yo. So it put me to the point where I was like, man, just do your shit, man. Like, you want Arsenio, you want it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you going there late on the night, it ain't no stopping that. You going on that joint. So just go ahead and do your shit, man. You know what I mean? Do your shit how you wanna how you would want it to look when you back home looking at it on TV.
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean? So I kind of just went out there and kind of just treated it like a rehearsal, but a rehearsal with a whole lot of people in the stands.
Classic performance.
You know
man.
what I mean? Yeah, you know.
That show was iconic.
Yeah, you know. And see, back then, that's when we was giving y'all the good outfits. We was dressing properly for you niggas, man.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Everybody wasn't looking like they had robbed you on your moms.
Right,
you know what I mean?
right.
Wasn't no hoodie.
Yeah,
Right.
a rap star looked like a rap star.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Like a star.
You know, yeah, I mean.
Talking about the styles back then, what made you get the new wave afro? Let's talk about the new wave afro haircut.
I mean, I think myself, along with a lot of people that's known for what they known for the eras that they came out, it was a thing about you wanted to do something to set yourself apart from everybody else in every way you could, musically, lyrically, and definitely visually. Because if the more that they can attach to you, the better you stand out, the easier it is for your label to promote you, the better your A&R department love you. Everything's working good. You know, you might mess around catching endorsement and you starting trends, you know, and that was more than anything. Now it's about following trends and jumping on something that somebody came out, dude came out with the 3 or 4 icy links at the same time and the one little thin chain, you know, with the little, then everybody started doing that. Back then, you know, and it's crazy for me to even say back then as well. But at that time, it was about being original.
Yeah.
And we ain't care what it was, as long as it was fresh, as long as it was something at the end of the day, we could say, damn,
That you created.
I wish I'd have thought of that on damn.
Right.
That's dope you do that. You know what I mean? And that was something that we knew that we could count on to distinguish you for you. And it kept everybody original. So if you had 3 acts on the joint, like you had Too Short, you know what Too Short was going to do. You know how Too Short rolled, what Too Short was known for. De La Soul, you know what they known for. You know how they rocking out. And then 3 Times Dope, you know what we known for. You know how we rocking out. We all on the same bill, not stepping on each other's toes because we looking alike and we trying to sound alike. Everybody just the best Xerox or the most successful one out the 3. It wasn't like that. You got 3 individual flavors. You know what I mean? And that was the best thing about the golden era of hip hop, is that you had to show that you was worthy to be in the game, not just have enough money to throw around or have somebody behind you with enough money to make it look like you was that guy, or it was beneficial to roll with you or play y'all's record. You know what I mean? Like, you had to really be hot, you know, or have something with you. Even if it was just a one and done, you still had to have it.
What was the moment that you realized that y'all, you know what I mean, like, were famous? Like, what was that? When was the first time you realized that, wow, you know what I mean, like, we're not just known in the school, not just known in the neighborhood. Like, how did that happen, and how did you resonate with that
when we start, nah, man, like, certain places, like, you start doing mom and pop record store joints and stuff, certain places, and it'd be cool because that's real hip hop. People want to come. They coming anyway to see what the new record is. Some of them hang out at the joint, you know, and it's like you get your love, you get your, hey, oh damn, I'm gonna listen to this. Damn, I ain't heard it yet, but y'all cool. And then you get to the point where you like, you know, you somewhere like the mall, the gallery, for everybody to know about the gallery.
The newsstand.
You know what I mean? You couldn't even go in the gallery unless you know what I mean, unless you was doing 1 or 3 things. Nah, really 1 or 4. You was trying to line somebody up to snatch the fly shit they had on. You was going in there to cop some fly shit.
Right.
You was going in there to see your peoples that was in there, that you was fucking with that was in there, or you was going in there to get love and go eat and just let the vibe hit you. I used to love, at that time, Chick-fil-A, right? And I used to always love to go down there, hit the Chick-fil-A joint, hit Cinnabon, bullshit, go upstairs, see what they got in Chameleon, and then Benetton, grab some shit and be out, right?
Chameleon and Benetton.
Now,
Wow, he took it back with that.
it got to the point that I used to go in there and say, like, me and Larry go in there, or me and Larry and my man J1s, or anybody I was with, it'd get to the point where, like, niggas are like turned into like my designated spokespeople,
They was
because
just
it'd be
clinging to
too
you,
much
huh?
going on, and I'm like, damn, it's really a little young mob right now. I
Right.
mean, friend, want to fuck with the kid.
Right.
You know, and I'm just going in there like everybody else. I want to grab my shit, eat my shit, sit down. I'm a regular teenager too at that
Right.
time.
Yeah.
But because I was a teenager that was putting out records, and you know, we was on video, and then in these rap magazines and shit like that, you know, it was like they seen a star from their city that looked like them that was doing the type of shit that they was into. So it was like we'd get mobbed and swarmed to the point that before Larry got signed, like he'd be to the point where he wasn't liking that shit. He'd be like, come on, man. You know what I mean? Come on, eat. Like, we gotta go, man. We trying to go eat. And
Right.
then, you know what I mean?
that
And then
was
we trying to
Larry.
meet the
That
little
was Larry.
shorties over here. Come
Right.
on, yo, you don't, yo, nah, that's the last shorty. That's the, all right, look, that's the last autograph right there, shorty. I ain't trying to, you know what I mean? Meet us over here then.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it'd be like that to the point that Larry joint came out, then
Then
Larry was
switched.
cool with it because now we both getting swarmed.
Right.
And true to life, Larry shit just came out. So of course, you know, I step back, let Larry get his joint because I don't need it. I get mine when I get mine.
Right.
Right.
But you know, then it was about Larry. Larry understood. Then like, oh, I see what it is, kid. I see what you gotta do. I'm like, yeah, all right. Just make sure whoever you rock with, I get their cousin.
Right.
You know how we rock. You know how we doing it. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't want to hear
Those
that.
days was crazy.
Yo.
I remember you called me to come down the gallery one day, and I took my brother Lee in the building. Y'all, shout out to Lee.
Shout out to Lee.
Shout out to Mr.
I
Lee.
took him and June Opposite. Shout out to June Opposite. I took them down there with me, man. Man, it was bananas down there. It was so crazy. It was so crazy. They was like, him and Larry's like, yo, come on, we going to eat in the newsstand. I was like, look, I'm cool. Y'all got this. I'm not the star. Y'all
Right.
the stars. Y'all go ahead and do y'all thing. It was so
Yeah,
crazy.
'cause, like,
they
we're-
had to shut it down. They had to shut the whole newsstand restaurant down, man. I remember that.
Wildin'.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
And I'll come back down there the next day and it'd be the same shit, man. You know what I mean? And, you know, it felt good though for me because I was like, all right, they recognize that we ain't doing this shit for nothing. You know what I mean? But I never got gassed though. The only thing I would extra do is take advantage of the female love.
Hey, ain't nothing wrong with that.
I'm, you know what I mean? I'm chicken hawk.
You was
know
a
what I
young, you
mean?
was a young pup back
Man,
then.
listen,
You know what
I
mean?
was, man, listen, I wasn't even all it took was for me to see what it was, and I became a full grown pup off of a leash. I was a young Doberman, you know what I mean, biting everything moving, you know what I mean, and you
That's
know,
crazy.
yeah, that used to be my pastime, man. But
That's
you know,
what's
I
up.
used to always stop, show love, sign the autographs. People I thought needed a word of encouragement, or I seen something in them, I would always give that up to them. And a lot of times people will come back and tell me like, yo, you don't even remember when I met you. Yo, you told me this, boom, bam. And they remember what I told them. You know what I mean? I'm like, damn. So that would always make me feel good because it wasn't just some fake, you know, star or like, oh, I'm going to sign your autograph. Ah, come on. Like, you know, I used to pour into people too as much as they used to pour into me.
Now moving from the first album to the second album, and from with LG over to Arista, how was that transition?
You know, it was kind of cool, you know what I mean, overall, because we had got to a point where we started to realize what the numbers was doing, and you know the numbers wasn't adding up.
Now, when you talk about numbers, I don't mean to interrupt you, but did y'all know the business part of it back then?
We started to learn. We learned as we went along.
Because
like,
moving to Arista, you really starting to get into a major and you really get into the business.
I
of it.
mean, like after you got a record out for a while, when you working on your second record, and you know you seeing what's going on in life, and you know just how much work you're doing, as opposed to how much financial prosperity is coming back. Even though you loving the fact that you in the game and you moving around, you known and different things like that. You know, once you start being aware of certain things, because you're getting closer to handling the business firsthand, or being educated about it firsthand, you start to learn like 90% of you know hip hop is from my generation, you know, and really till just recently, where information been flowing so freely that the average artist is much more informed on all aspects of their business.
Now.
Than you know what I mean than what used to be.
Okay.
To make a long story short, we started learning more so towards that second album, and once we actually got loose and free from direct ties with Lawrence Goodman, because the one of the first things we realized was that he was double dipping. You know, he was eating from this and he was eating from that.
Because he was pretty much your manager and the record label, correct?
Yeah, you know what I mean? And, that was a conflict of interest. He knew it was, but, it wasn't really made that clear to us at the time that we first started rocking with him. But after the first album, we started realizing things a little bit more as a group and individually through people that we started dealing with and knowing as far as colleagues and associates in the game,
People start sharing information.
Yeah,
with you,
and you
right?
start talking and sharing information and start understanding, what contracts are supposed to be, what's the standard is, what's better than standard, what this other person is getting as opposed to what you're getting. And, you start to realize, okay, this thing needs to be structured differently, or I should have been getting more, or the group should be getting more here as opposed to what we getting. And you got to renegotiate, you got to, restructure, and at some point in time, or in some situations, you got to cut ties.
Contracts was really shitty back
Yeah,
then.
I mean, like,
a lot of cats from the golden era of hip hop, they got burnt out a lot of money, man.
I mean, and then you also had your success stories and people that made money at any era that they put out what they put out. But you had a lot of people that, for where they are now, they paid for it in blood, sweat, and tears. And then, and then a lot of money going the other way in somebody else's pocket when they was actually the reason why the money was getting made. You know what I mean? So when you get your bearings, first thing you want to do is stop, take a look at things and then figure out how you want your business to go. And slowly but surely try to rearrange and put people in position, to where as though those things now are going to benefit you as you continue to make the good music and the hits and this record for this person, or you make a hit for yourself, or you're part of a hit, you're featured on a big remix or whatever it is, whereas though your money need to come to you right, you got to set your business up just like you set your music up so they both can be in unison with each other. Because if you got a hit record, but your business ain't right, that's just going to turn into a VH1 story.
You got to start the way you want to finish.
Might turn into you behind bars, going upside somebody's head too. Find out cat that made 40, 50 million, and they somewhere, on the side of a cliff looking at the ocean, and you and your peeps still in the hood.
Now, what advice would you give like the younger artists out there that's doing their thing today, like far as the business side of it?
I mean, I would say recognize that you are the business. You know what I mean? And, treat your business accordingly 24 hours a day. Don't put yourself in goofy situations that's going to drain your accounts, that's going to have you in the press. Yeah, you getting notoriety, but all notoriety ain't good notoriety. You know what I mean? You take it away from your dream, or you might be burning out early. You see a lot of, and I ain't really trying to throw nobody's name out there because I ain't trying to, gain no extra views off nobody's name, but we all know certain MCs and certain people out here now in real trouble that just was super hot last year.
Right.
You know what I mean? And, had big records out. And instead of continuing to grow where the grass is greener, they still like to play around and kick their brand new Timberlands around in the mud, knowing they could just go buy another pair tomorrow. But sometimes when you get enough dirt on you, can't come clean. You know what I mean? And it's because you're not recognizing that you are the business. You are the reason why your mom is happy now. Her hair done all the time when you see her. You know what I mean? The man in her life acting right. Your sister good at this but never could go to school for it. You got her going to school. A lot of things is different now because of the success you have, but you're not treating yourself as the reason for the success like you're supposed to. Your manager know it. Your record label gonna know as soon as something happened to you. You get 100 years, you get murked on the street. Whatever you got on tape, they gonna put that out, mix that, master that together, and they gonna put that out and try to get that cake off of whatever's going on with the last of you.
Pretty much don't get caught up in the glitz and the glamour and the fame. All that
Understand
stuff.
what
Treat
it
like
is.
a business.
That's a gem right there.
Understand what it is so you could truly thrive and do other things and use it as a stepping stone. You know what I mean? So you can stay in it as long as you want, or you can use it and go ahead and do your LL Cool J thing, or you can go ahead and do your Ice-T thing, or you can go ahead and you know and do what The Rock did. You know what I mean? You know, do anything you want except dying, going to jail, and putting dishonor on the family name.
Right.
Now talking about that, you know, what do you think it is with these young artists? You know, we have so many young artists that's getting shot and dying, and I mean, they just dropping like flies out here, Rob. I mean, what do you think it is?
Like
man?
I said, like is that simple, but it's that deep. If you don't catch what you got going on and how you supposed to be rocking in that simple second of accepting yourself, accepting what's going on, accepting that now you on the good side of it, and it's gonna be better from here and there.
You think they trying to get the street cred, you know, or their business ain't right, or their mindset ain't right, the people they around?
The understanding of what's possible ain't right. They too used to what was reality and what is still reality for a lot of their folks, family, homies, and everybody included. You know what I mean? And some people will say it's survivor's remorse. You know what I mean? It's survivor's guilt. You know, whatever they want to say, or, you know, I don't know how to let my people know right off the rip that I really got to leave all that dumb shit alone to keep doing what I'm doing and to keep blessing them how I'm blessing them. You know what I mean? It's just, you gotta make that move for yourself to
A lot of them
differentiate.
feel like they gotta go through that just to prove that they valid and they
Right.
legit.
You don't gotta
loyalty,
go through
yeah.
that, because the main thing you wanted while you was hanging around these street niggas
Is to get out
and
of
doing all that shit you was doing was to have a chance to make the same type of money where you wouldn't have to risk your life and risk your family's life.
Right.
You get it, but you still stick around the danger long enough to be a casualty of it.
Right.
Accept the fact that it came. Accept the change and change will come. But if you want to act like you could be a superstar in the midst of where everybody ain't superstars, you're sadly mistaken.
I mean, a
yourself
lot
up.
of, yeah, a lot
You're sadly
of,
mistaken.
a lot of them are young and just
Because
don't.
you not to cut you off, you ain't got enough to make everybody a star
Right.
around you. You ain't got enough to take care of everybody and put everybody in a Bentley, put everybody with the same chain. You ain't got it.
Everybody ain't meant to go.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say. You young, you coming into this money, and like you said, Rob, like you don't really know how or when it's really time to, you know, separate yourself. You know what I mean? To I'm in a better place. Let me get here. Let me continue to establish myself, and then I'm gonna bring y'all with me. A lot of times they end up still back, still not realizing like you need to be moving a different way than what you was 2 years ago.
Exactly.
It's like they get caught up with
Exactly.
they get too caught up with that loyalty factor. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? Where
Exactly.
it's like even with like, you know, outside of like artists, but as like, you know, you look at guys in the league, it's like, okay, you went from being from the projects, now you're a millionaire or you got some money. You know what I'm saying? And then it's like, okay, you know what? Well, these was my homies back there. I gotta kind of help them out. The difference is help them out, but take care of them is a different scenario. And I think a lot of artists try to take care of them, where let me help you out versus taking care of you. Because now if I take care of you, now I'm getting caught up with the guilty of association situation. You know what I mean? Now I'm taking bodies that ain't really my bodies. You know what I mean? So, you know, you gotta be, you know, like the young boys, they just gotta be careful out here, man. Just gotta
The
be
main
careful,
thing
man.
is, we pray so much for rain to come when it's a drought. When the rain come, learn how to put your umbrella up and get
through
from
the
point
storm.
A to
Right,
point B
right.
without getting wet.
Right.
The
Gotta
rain
weather
is
the
here
storm.
now. The
Weather
land
the
gonna
storm.
replenish. But that don't mean you got to get caught all up in the raindrops.
Right.
Move how you supposed to and learn how to be successful, because you never was before. So that's the main thing, everybody. If we could just pull it into a phrase, learn how to be successful. You know what I mean? Instead of being compelled to brag and act like you always had it, learn how to be successful. Learn how to walk with your fame, with your money and your prestige. You ain't always going to get it, but when it lock in, you be better off for it. And everybody be able to see it, and then you can fully and keep going up and up instead of down, down, down.
That's some words of wisdom to you young guys out there. Hope y'all, you know what I mean, took heed to that. I wanna go back to the second album in the Arista when you guys were with them.
Yeah.
That transition going over to Arista, I know there was couple other artists and acts over there, like K9 Posse,
Mm-hmm.
which was Eddie Murphy's younger brother's group.
Mm-hmm.
Was there any kind of like conflict with them over at Arista or competition? Because you guys kind of similar had the same name with the K9 Posse. Because really, you guys were.
You did.
It was was it 3 times dope? It was your
Yeah,
names
it was
kind of
three-
changed.
It was three
did.
times dope, and then because again, Arista wasn't really a super rap label. They were taking their foray in the rap with us and K9 Posse and stuff like that. The term dope had them a little skittish a little bit.
So they changed it to kind of
Yeah,
to
they
3D.
didn't. Yeah, they didn't want people to misconstrue or have a reason to be like, oh, what do they mean dope? Like, is this a gang? Is this
Is this 3 drug dealers?
Yeah,
A drug rep. Yeah.
that type of shit.
Right.
So we said, all right, we didn't exclusively refrain from using 3 times dope, but we started to use the acronym 3XD,
3XD,
enough that they would equate it with the same thing, 3 times dope. So in certain areas where it would have behooved us to use the 3XD instead of 3 times dope as the forefront thing that you would see in promoting us, we would go with that.
Because it didn't resonate with us at all. We knew.
Yeah, we knew what time it is.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
we and of course we would have to explain it in several interviews, and depending on what publication, what demographic that publication had, we would always explain that dope was a synonym, an adjective, the same way James Brown said funky or super bad. It was just our way of saying, like, we 3 times the greatest adjective you could be in hip hop at that time, which is dope. So we 3 times that. And so, after a while, when we, as we started breaking it down, people started to understand more, and then the record label became less shy about it. But we had to really make that prevalent in a lot of our first interviews and rap magazine exposés and stuff like that.
Okay.
Now, do you think that that you guys got because they weren't a rap label, so do you think that they was able, or they didn't have enough power to push you guys the way they could have?
Now they definitely had the power.
Okay.
The thing was, they was gassed thinking that because they had Eddie Murphy's brother in a rap group, and they were more Beverly Hills Cop than Warriors.
Okay.
You know what I mean? We was Warriors. They were and
not knowing y'all was the
right,
yourself.
right. And to them, the K9 Posse was a quick jump to
the crossover.
Eddie Murphy stardom or Eddie Murphy like stardom or the Hollywood type effect that artists would have. But they didn't understand, unless you was from LA at that time, you ain't worried about no Hollywood effect in hip hop. You worried about touching the people. So they wound up putting the energy and the resources that if they would have put that in 3 times dope coming off the rip, they would have had a sure enough 3-4 albums out of us that would have resonated, because we'd have been able to lock in and be there year after year after year with the right people. Because when we came in, we was rocking with all the top people anyway.
Yes.
Tribe Called Quest,
Yes.
you know what I mean? Heavy D, all the real guys. You know what I mean? And on the street side, we was Ultramagnetic MCs, Special Ed, Just Ice, just on any level, we was rocking with the right folks. You know what I mean?
Now, on that second album, did Arista have creative control on that album as far as the production? Because on the first album, I mean, you can hear the difference from the first album in the production to the second album in the production.
Nah, on the second album, we kind of fought a lot more to put our music out in the way that we felt like we wanted to. And I ain't gonna lie, like, during that time, being able to calm the music down a little bit more, and still make rap hits, but now, you got a little bit more commerciality to it.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because it might have the remnants of an R&B classic in it before, or a soul classic or whatever. And it was much more, in certain instances, palatable to a broad range of radio play.
Did Chuck Nice have a lot of influence as far as the production on that second album?
Definitely. I think it was more so where we were at, and the type of music we was listening to and how we was vibing. You know what I mean? And mind you, we had experienced a good degree of success with the first album. So of course we was chilling. Everything wasn't. It was much less of a struggle. We was chilling with our girls now, regularly going shopping, eating certain places. So we had a more cooler approach, or much more of a Renaissance style to the hip hop at that point. Like we was digging a lot of R&B shit, you know what I mean, and a lot of smooth, cool tones that we felt like we could make hip hop out of.
Yeah, you definitely can.
You know what I mean?
You definitely could hear the transition from the first album to the second album.
Yeah,
but the tracks was hot, the lyrics was still hot. Like, I mean, at points I don't know which album I like the best, the first or the second one. I like both of them so crazy.
We had a joint on there called "I Ain't Trying to Hear It," right? That the original version we had sampled Tracy Chapman's "Fast Car," and the main backing track to that was Love Rap by Spoonie G.
Okay.
So the way it was locking was just vicious. That joint was really locking vicious. And then I had choreographed some cuts for Wood to scratch, you know what I mean? And he was, scratching up, giving you a taste of the short shot beat, and to go off. But we was doing it, in certain little sequences and stuff throughout the record. And that joint right there was so crazy. Everybody knew, oh yeah, that's the first single. That's what we doing. We're gonna fuck them up with this. Columbia got a whiff of it because, of course, we had to clear the sample.
Right.
They realized how strong that sample could be used in a hip hop way. But what they turned around and did was blocked our use of the sample, and then you hear Nice and Smooth with the sometimes I rhyme slow, sometimes I rhyme quick, but their track was, in my opinion, much more commercial and like, hokey. If I could use that word, whereas though our shit was melodic,
right,
on a downbeat and syncopatically vicious. You know what I mean? That shit was raw hip hop too. Because we was taking a sound and we was putting it with a classic, hip hop backdrop that motherfuckers wasn't even thinking about, and it was just a crazy look. But they gave it to them, which was, I guess, a smart business move.
Some of the politics,
on their end.
Right.
But in my opinion, the record wasn't as potent as as the one we did. But they took their shot and they tried to cash in on the fact, oh well, Tracy Chapman's a Sony artist. All the publishing and stuff is right here. All the rights and the mechanicals and all that shit is right here. That's an easy push for us. So that's how y'all got that record.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
So
that shit was crazy. You know what I mean? And like I said, shout out to Nice and Smooth.
Shout out to Nice
and Smooth. You know what I mean? Shout out to my man Greg Nice, definitely, because I still keep in touch with him.
Yeah.
But that joint couldn't fuck with the one we did with the original. I Ain't Trying to Hear It.
I think Greg would say that too, because Greg, you know what I mean?
I Ain't Trying to Hear It. That shit was hot. That shit was crazy.
That's a classic.
Because the version we wound up putting on the album was hot. You know what I mean? And that was because we had a guitarist that was dope at making of inflections. You know what I mean? So instead of the we was you know what I mean? So so we was taking the momentum. We was taking them. So if that John left off here before it could change or go up, we was taking that momentum and then we just did our little trill with it. You know what I mean? But if y'all would have heard that first Tracy Chapman joint, like put it like this, that shit would have been like when y'all heard Do It.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like as far as what that song was for that time, yeah. You know what I mean? Like it would have been that signature. You know what I mean? But
so going from the first album, you were a kid, well, a teenager.
right.
Second album, now you going into your manliness.
Young man.
You know what I mean? So
young man, but still doing kid shit just on a young man level because you got money, you got some visibility.
Yeah, you had the
so now y'all got some money now. Y'all got money now.
You had
well, I mean, you know,
a little bit more money.
You know, we was doing shows and we was, you know, we was doing shows a lot. You know what I mean? And doing what we was doing. So wherever the money was looking funny contractually, we was out there on the road picking that shit up. You know what I mean? So, you know, we always kept something nice in the pocket, but overall, the way, you know, we should have ate, you know, until we really put LG in the proper perspective, business-wise, you know what I mean? That's when we started to really see something more and something, you know, closer to what you're supposed to see from your royalties and certain things like that. You know what I mean? So, you know, that's why we always say, and even to this day, you know, if you got a hit, you're like, okay, I'm happy about that because I know them shows gonna start popping. Okay. Because if you got a hit, they want to hear that hit. They want to see you perform it everywhere that they can see you. You know what I mean? And now that the system of being in this business is much more sophisticated, you know, and much more well known, you know, you can come out and put out what, like a little 3-4 record joint. But you got 2 big crazy hits off it. You're gonna be performing for 6 to 8 months out the year. Yeah. And then if you want to juice it, you go overseas and you do your thing over there. But while you over there, you start getting your mind right for your next project. You know what I mean? But you can go out there and eat, you know, in a way that you can have a Snoop Dogg story and say, man, I done got these much streams off this, but niggas sent me $4,000. But your shows, you gonna chew. Your remixes and the different things that people want to associate with you because your record's super hot. You gonna eat endorsements, remixes, walkthroughs, you know, club appearances, whatever it is, you gonna eat. It's different ways to eat once you got a smoker. But, you know, it's always something to be said for the motherfucking royalties though. You know what I mean? You always gotta come at their neck about that. And, you know, kudos to the couple artists out here who deals is right from the inception or who deals got right pretty much after the inception. Kudos to y'all.
Pretty much get your publishing right, the ASCAP, you know what I mean? Have your business straight so you can get those royalties and that them checks.
And do as much independently or know as much independently as you can. So whether you got a team doing what you need done because you need to focus on what you do extremely well for it to be a reason for all that shit, know about it. And do random checkups. Do pop-ups. Oh, yeah, let me see what everybody's doing. Yeah, let me see the paperwork. Right. Yeah, let me see what's been going out under my expenditures. It ain't always got to be on the day that they think you going to ask. Pop up on their ass. To let them know that at any time you think about your business too. You just ain't caught up with the, you know, with the latest thing you're doing, social-wise. You know what I mean? Because it all comes down to the last hand clap, the last tour. It's about what you made out of that.
Like you said earlier, just making sure you take care of your business.
Making sure you take care of your business so your business can take care of you.
So then you go to your third album, the sequel. Now you about darn near 10 years, 8 to 10 years into the game now. You know what I'm saying? So now you in your mid-20s, so now you're a man now. Now life is hitting now. Life is really hitting now.
Real shit going on.
Like so as you going through the transition, like you know, like speak about some of the things that you was like you know, as some of these artists out there now in their 20s, you know what I mean? Like some of the things they need to look forward to, you know what I mean, as going, you know, being in the industry at that particular time in their life.
Well, I think the one thing that I am proud about right now is I see certain artists out here that understand it's their time and they understand they doing good and they doing the right things to set themselves up for whether the hits continue or they wake up one day and say, man, I'm cool on this shit. You know what I mean? Like it's a couple artists that understand that right now, they the strongest they gonna be. You know what I mean? And they taking advantage of it, whether it's going back to school, like Lil Baby did with the Harvard joint, or like getting into trucking. Also, like Lil Baby and Dirk said they was getting into, or just different things that I see artists making use of their popularity in the proper ways. Like even with Styles got the juice joints up in New York at like 2 or 3 different locations right now.
You got Jada and them with the coffee.
Right. He got the pharmacy joint, Styles, and then Jada got the coffee with his father and his son, and him and 50 just made plans to put Jada's business in like the Metroplex or the food area of 50 situation that he's doing out in Shreveport, because he's making like an whole interactive community, to connect to the studio. So he's putting like basically like he's building a new town, interactive, creative, complex, quadruplex or whatever, out there where he's working at. And to have him and 50 coming together to do business on that level, man, that's better than any verse, man. That's better than any classical 16, because it's the evolution of the game.
Right. The music these days is just a launch pad to so many other entities.
That's what it was always supposed to be.
Yeah.
It's just, in this time, we actually seeing the culmination of it, whereas though during the same time that you got the buzz, that your hottest, that you got the fans going crazy, make sure you get your shit off.
Right.
Make sure that you get your companies off. Make sure that you get your foot in the door in other lanes that you want to learn about, be successful and viable in. You know what I mean? Like,
And I mean, it's a different, whole, conversation, but I think that's what Kevin Hart, that's what he's very good at. Once he got hot, he used that peak, to branch off and get other things popping, And now, he's, on top of the game.
Yeah, I mean, like, you want to learn how to exist in your culture in as many aspects as you can without running yourself thin. Now, anything that you feel like is running yourself thin, or you just trying to do everything, I feel you. But it's always a team you could put together to put on that. Because, like, 50's winning in a couple different areas, but like 50 told you himself, he's not the one making every right decision. He's not the one coming up with every diagram for every business move, but he sits down with the people that he puts in place, and he makes sure that he takes the proper synopsis of what's been given to him to make the right decision. So if it's not him with the light bulb, he makes sure that the light bulb is in the room. You know what I mean? But that's the thing. Use it as a platform for you to do all the things you wanted to do in life when you was a nobody, when you felt like you would never have nothing, or if you could just get this one opportunity, if people could just listen to you this one time, you can make all the shit that you wanted to make happen, Now, granted, it has to be one at a time, so you're not burning out and killing yourself, but that also gives you a lifetime to complete and accomplish it at different levels. So you can look back at it and say, damn, I did all that. While you really get your flowers. You know what I mean? When you finally take, your swan, your swan bow or whatever. You got a great life to look back over of accomplishments and different shit you learn. And you put other people on along the way.
Now, putting together a team is so important. And, you definitely have some trust issues when you're putting together a team and making sure you got people in the right places that can do the right things that need to be done. Do you think, like, you can't just trust anybody? Like you said, you got to pop up, you got to check in, you got to be a boss, but you just can't put everything in everybody's hands. No. A lot of these guys don't know that, though. You know what I mean?
Relationships in business is just like your circle of friends or the circle of people you allow to have access to you. Have people around that you can count on to do what you need them to do. And the only way that happens is you give people enough time to be around you, and you to be around them, but take your mental notes. Don't just be around somebody thinking that they here to do this or they're going to do that or they're supposed to do that. Make sure that they coming to do what they say they coming to do, not just jump on the bandwagon or take advantage of the fact that you doing what you doing right now when it's cool to be attracted to you, or they feel like you gonna make it, so they just want to be around for when you make it. It's cool as long as you playing your part and you actually a part of the success too.
And doing what you're supposed to
And
do.
doing what you're supposed to do. So, you know, the same way you wouldn't let everybody in your house, in the same way your mom told you, I don't want certain people in my house when I'm not here, because she know they liable to do something that's against what she want going on in her crib. It's the same way you watch your business.
Same ethics.
Don't give people the keys to closest to you that you know could possibly fuck you over when you sleeping or you're not looking.
Right.
You know? And, you know, some people got to learn the hard way because they figure, oh, ain't nobody going to do this to me. Oh, no, that's my man. He wouldn't do this to me. Business is business.
Right.
Once you start putting people in business capacities, make certain two things. They know how to do it, or they have the capacity to learn how to do it. If you bringing them in from the ground up, because you just don't want to leave them. You want to bring them along with you. Don't bring nobody around you that think they know you so much that you supposed to do something for them, or you supposed to this and that. Like it ain't like back in the day
handouts.
because it's different. Like we went to McDonald's back in the day, and you know what I mean, I broke down my Big Mac with you because you know what I mean, I just knew you was fucked up that day. That's different. I ain't gotta break down my Big Mac with you every day of my life, dog.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? At some point in time, you should learn how to get Big Mac money so we both could go to the Big Mac. You know what I mean? Go to McDonald's together. Even if your Big Mac money come from what you do for me, make use of your money.
Right.
So now you ain't always looking at yourself as a subordinate, and you won't get the, you know what I mean, wrong thought that you could fuck yours up because I'ma still lace you out. Nah. Stand on your one and build on your one. That's how you get a two.
Now I want to, you know, we done talked about the first album. We talked about the second album. Moving from the second album in 1990, going into the sequel, 3, in 1998. How do you feel about that album? Because you didn't have so much success as the first 2 albums.
Well,
like did that kind of affect you as an artist?
Not really. It was like during that time right there, that was during like the first waves of like cats like saying, all right, I'm tired of the majors, or I'm not feeling what I've been doing or what the majors been doing with me, you know.
So that's how you felt at that time?
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Going
like,
into that album? Or?
Yeah, because coming away from the Arista situation, you know, and you know, it was good while it lasted. I appreciated the things I learned and the people I learned from while I was at Arista Records, but it just came down to if a person don't understand what you're doing all the way, or why you're doing it or how you're doing it, you know, it could be frustrating to try to make sure that your music is promoted, done, you know, in the right way, and to your crowd properly for them to reconnect with you. And it just got to a point where I felt like, as a group, we felt like Arista wasn't prepared and didn't know enough to keep going with us along our journey and to take us where we wanted to go.
Who was managing you guys back then between the second and third album over at Arista?
My man LaVeba.
Okay.
My man, LaVeba was from New York. LaVeba also had managed Kool Moe Dee, and you know, and a couple other people. You know, we had some great.
He wasn't pressing the issues that you guys needed to be pressed with the label?
Nah, because at a certain time, you know, we had reached our far as we could go with him, and then you know we fell back and we was kind of really like free agents at that time.
What year was this?
90.
I mean, like 90. Really.
When y'all kind of like branched
really
off.
like 91 going into 92.
Okay.
You know, we took time to just chill out, you know, kind of figure out how we wanted to move forward. At that time, the group was undergoing changes too. We had bought new member into the group. At the time, the kid Jake the Stripper replaced DJ Woody Wood.
Shout out JDS.
And we were doing different things. I wanted to try different production directions and elements at the time. Not saying that I wanted to move away from Chuck, but I wanted to do different things along with Chuck, and to have Chuck try different production techniques that were becoming more popular and becoming more regular use in hip hop at that time. Even though I always thought that 3 Times Dope had a crazy way that we put music together, and a way that we dealt with samples and musically. I just wanted to do different things with the beats and put it together to where as though we, not only did we have our sound, but we kept along with the maturity of the sound, you know, so.
Keep elevating the craft.
Yeah,
Right.
Is that why we didn't get a 4th album?
Well, when we did the third, that basically was under our imprint. You know, we had put together an independent record called, an independent company called Arista Records. And, you know, so we had kind of like a point man, not so much of a manager, but a point man that would, you know, administrate for us in the way that a manager would, you know, once we came up with certain things that we wanted to execute, whether it was a visual, you know, studios we wanted to go to, or selecting the tracks that we wanted to release. And that was a time of exploration for us, I think. And unfortunately, the record didn't take as big of a splash as we liked, but it was still a cool time because we got to experiment and create without us feeling like, I know they're gonna try to change this as we was creating it, or I know they wouldn't go with this for a single, you know, certain things like that. It was just a good time to just put our creativity in our hands and roll the dice, you know, and see what happened. But we got a dope remix out of that too. It was a record we put out called Real Skills, and we had got a dope remix out of that with the Large Professor. We cut that up in Conshohocken too, at Joe Nicolo's spot.
Okay.
You know, and that was a dope vibe. Some real hip hop shit, like straight 45 Kings type sample, you know, 45 record type sample. And it was a real moment, you know what I mean? Because we got to sit with somebody that I felt was a hip hop icon and an audio giant, you know, whether it was It Ain't Hard to Tell for Nas, or Looking at the Front Door for Main Source, you know, the Extra P, Large Professor, you know, was instrumental in a lot of dope shit popping in hip hop, Faking the Funk, you know what I mean, on the White Man Can't Jump on the soundtrack.
Classics.
Dude is crazy.
Classics.
So, you know, we got a chance to do our shit the way we wanted to do it. You know what I mean? And then after that, some things that went down. My man JDS had got caught up in some things, you know, on the personal side, and that slowed the group down at that point. And then we started just, you know, doing different things. You know, Chuck was doing his thing, I was doing my thing, and then at that time was when I really started leaning more towards now going from rapping to making the lyrics song melodic.
Now, during that transition, you had some downtime in between before you start writing the Beyonce hits and the 3 Times Dope days. What was going on with Robert E.S.T. Waller in that in between time, that downtime? What was going on with you out here?
You know, a lot of recalibration. You know, getting used to, you know, slowing down after being on the move and going and planes and shows and this and that for so many years. Now you know you slowing down. You got time to come back around the way. You know, you relink with certain people that you was rolling with when you was younger. They into different shit now. They doing different shit, and you know what I mean. It's kind of like all right, what we gonna do now? How we gonna do this? And
Did you go through any kind of like depression or withdrawal or anything
Well,
from the industry and the business after having all that fame and stardom?
it was definitely
traveling and everything.
it was definitely days where it was like, yo, what the fuck is going on? Yo, like a day like what is Friday or Saturday? Damn, for real, I remember I would be here like on this day, or I would be doing this. Like now it's like, oh, all right, we could get into some shit, but now we really got to try to like force the play to get the ball back moving, and that's when it really hit me. Like, all right, you want to see us the time? Like, you got to figure out now like how you want to do it. You want to keep doing music in the first person? Do you want to say fuck music? Do you want to get into another part of your creativity, or do you want to take the music in a different aspect? And, for a while, I was still stuck, figuring it out, but, just chilling, rolling, still rolling with, being around and doing certain things like, yeah, that's ES. Come on, yeah, take them with us. Like, but then.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time together back in the days.
At a certain time, you start to say to yourself, all right, what do I want to do with this music? How do I want to exist in it? And it became a thing where people started like asking me for my advice on certain stuff and then inviting me to their sessions to get my opinions on certain things or like to see if I could help them with certain shit. And it turned into me like doing like artist consultation and slowly but surely, writing for other people. Even though I did it here and there, did a little bit of writing for Steady and different little people along the way, coming up in the game. But then it started being a thing like, okay, let's see if you could write dope songs that ain't got nothing to do with you, or that's not for you or in your style that you would do a record, And then it went to, all right, let's see if you could do full on songs. Because like I said, like a lot of my inspiration and a lot of my influences came from just straight records, like, R&B joints, reggae joints, classic rock records, but these was full songs that I would, get inspired by in some kind of way, truncated down to being able to come up with something original for, for myself.
So now you're at that point where you're trying to figure it all out and you're going into the writing phase and, writing full length records like you said. When did you kind of get that first opportunity to write a full song? I know you spoke about JDS. Shout out to Jake the Stripper. That's my guy. A lot of people don't know that was their DJ and that was Eve's DJ. I know you did a lot of work on some of Eve's early stuff as far as writing.
Yeah.
Was that your introduction to writing, on that next level?
I would say that I think the joints that I did with Eve, that it was a record called Hey Y'all, and it was a record called Let This Go, and I did those with Hot Runner, Larry Larry's cousin and original partner and DJ. During his time as an MC on Rough House Records, Rough House Columbia, more importantly. Me and him had did those records together because he had started doing more straight out production and, just getting more into being a full-blown producer. And those were actually records that I actually did originally. And then we just blanked the verses and kept the hook and the beat. And those wound up becoming records for Eve.
Can I ask you a question? Well, any of those songs, a lot of people might not know, but Nate Dogg sung one of your hooks that you wrote for Eve. Was one of those songs?
The Hey Y'all.
The Hey Y'all?
Okay. The Hey Y'all.
Shout out to Nate Dogg.
Yeah,
Rest in peace,
rest
Nate
in peace,
Dogg.
homie.
Yes, sir.
And granted, he changed a couple lyrics in it, you know what I mean? But they kept my melody true to form. And they kept about 50, like I would say 50% of the lyrics that I originally wrote, and they kept the title. So, I had to get on the phone and talk to Mr. Troy Carter about that.
Shout out to Troy.
and worked that out. You know what I mean? At that time, even though I still took a hit on it, but it was more about the recognition and having my name attached to the project. But truth be told, you know, I should have went for way more percentage than I wound up getting on that record. You know, because I was entitled to way more.
Now, when you started doing that, did you have your publishing set up then?
Yeah, my publishing was set up at that time.
Okay.
My publishing was set up, but I wasn't all the way vicious and sharp like I am now on, you know, what you're supposed to make sure that you have and demand when you write a hook that people take. You know, whether it's attached to a whole song you wrote or you wrote the hook and they're taking that.
Because the hook is pretty much what 50% of the song.
The
right?
hook is 20. The hook is 25%
Right. Okay.
of the record. It goes around 4 times. It's the title. It's the name of the song. You know what I mean? And if the hook is what it's really supposed to be, which is the thing that catches them about the record, then you know you can claim as much as 25% of the record with just the hook. Now, say you wrote the hook in the first verse, you know, you talking 35% easy. You know what I mean? That you're entitled to. But if say you just a person that's writing hooks, if you're writing major hooks and you know your hooks is locked in every time, 20 to 25% you can charge max. But say you know you got a good little relationship working with a certain artist, or you getting plays, you know you can 20. Y'all do what y'all need to do with that 5, but I'm locked in. You know what I mean? But you're entitled to 25.
So at this time, you're pretty much with TL Hot Runner doing production with Eve. Was JDS the DJ for Eve at that time?
Nah, JDS joined her entourage during that time, but after the production for the album was done and all that. You know, like when it was time for her to start doing shows and moving around at some point in time, he got introduced to the situation.
Right. Now, when did the Scott Storch situation come about? Did that come through the Eve situation? Or?
No, that came from Scott, you know, seeing me moving around with my brother Kamal Gray from the Roots.
Okay.
And, you know, he would see me at the studio down there, Larry Gold's at the time. You know, so I was around and I was in the mix. And also, I had did work with and for Scott earlier as a part of a group called Mad Crop that him and the boy Cameron Houff that co-wrote You Should Let Me Love You. Well, later on went on to co-write You Should Let Me Love You was a part of as a rap group back in the day. They was called Mad Crop. And Andy the Funky Drummer had him at that time. So I had went up there and at some point in time I was helping Joe and Andy come up with ideas and working with them to come up with stuff. So I knew him from before, you know, that time that was like a little brief interaction we had briefly, but then later on we relinked during the time that I was running with the Roots. And he was going up New York for something and he asked me did I want to go up, you know, and hold it down with him, and I did, and then we just kept rolling from there.
Okay.
You know what I mean? We kept rolling from there, and then after that he was out LA because he had did the Steel DRE stuff and all that, so stuff was just starting to crack off heavy, and he was getting chances to do other production for other people. At the time he was working with this artist named Sarah, a white female artist, but she was rapping and stuff like that, and he called me and flew me out there.
So he would call you for advice on.
Well, nah. Well, they was him and his manager at the time, which was my manager. A little while after that, for a time, Derek Jackson. We call him Black Hollywood. They were thinking like, who can they get to come up and do this project, and you know help her with the writing and you know make sure everything's on point, the delivery and all that. And you know. I think they had Ab Lava they was thinking about, and then me, and I don't know if it was somebody else, but you know, they wound up calling me on it, and I flew out there, and the rest was history.
That was history.
You know what I mean? We started rocking from there, and I basically ain't never go home. Like I went home like one time. After that, you know, tightened up, you know, grabbed as much as I can grab from where I was at, because around that time I was still rocking with my Platinum Bound family, in Philly, and I was staying at the Platinum House.
Classic
You know,
studio.
you know what I mean? But then it was slightly little different things going on, and there was a little shift in the mood and energy over there. And I just wanted to, you know, get my shit off. I just wanted to work in a cohesive, constructive environment, where as though once I hit, I can keep hitting. And I got offered that through that call from Scott, even though he needed me to do some shit. But I came up there and did, and you know, and did my thing for him, and you know, the ends justified the means. It made sense, and so we just started rocking, you know, Starsky and Hutching it.
So starting out with Scott, y'all built that relationship through that artist. Was he taking care of you? Was the checks rolling in, the publishing?
It was movement, you know. And before that, like, you know, like I would roll with Scott to certain studio sessions and little things that he was doing in the city before we really locked in. Like, it was this cool old cat named Otto, and he had a dope little nook studio spot up in Northeast, and we would go up there and work, and I would hold him down when we working, like to the point where like we breaking night, like, you know, Scott breaking night, making beat after beat after beat to the point where I can't even stay up, I can't even smoke no more, nothing. I'm like this, like going to sleep, waking up like this, with him passing me another joint the size of a thumb and shit, but he got more beats and different shit. Then I wake up like, oh, that's fat. Oh, now we vibing, and it just start becoming a synergy. Like when he was in town or when we link up, we was just for the betterment of the music, making sure shit was right. You know, then we started, you know, putting this little system together where he'd look at me for the nod. I'd give him the nod, or I'd be like, he'd skip that, go to the next beat, or sometimes I might say, yo, that's hot. Put a dope intro on that, or look, come with an ill sound to that bass line. You know what I mean? You know, and I was just
like consulting a little bit.
Giving my advice based off of what I was hearing, because he's hearing it too as he's making it too, but it's
he just
subjective.
needed that confirmation.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, we just developed the system. I ain't gonna say he needed it, but it was a system we developed because we was in the room. You know, and you know, we was really being serious. There wasn't a whole lot of hangers on. He was really trying to develop himself and develop his tracks to where as though he was one of them guys.
Yo, I got this question to ask, right? You know what I mean? Now, he goes to Beyonce and say, I know this guy that writes songs. Now, prior to that, you never written on, well, that was known. It was never known that you was a songwriter. How was that transition going from like being known as a hip hop writer, hip hop artist, to now I got to write an R&B song?
Well, like I said, I had been leaning towards that, and getting opportunity to write on different little projects, and testing my hand, you know, for a little bit before that opportunity came. I remember Dre had a group, a pretty little Filipino chicks, and he was thinking about doing something with them and doing some R&B. This was before the Truth Hurts shit and all that. And he had enlisted Scott to come up with music for them. I had wrote a record for them that was dope. It was another female that Scott was dealing with that was managed by Eazy-E's wife. I think her name was Crystal. She was a cute little, you know, light brown skin chick. She had a cool little voice, you know, and I, you know, so I started like cutting my teeth, penning for different little projects. Like regardless if they went somewhere, I was still getting opportunities now to get in that mode of presenting those type of songs. And like I said, from doing production assistant work, basically every time Scott was in the studio, I'm in there with him. You know, I started learning the nuances, his cadences, and the different nuances of what was working and what wasn't working, and presenting these records. So, you know, it was a, you know, another day, you know, at the office, we waking up, okay, boom, boom, you know, what's going on today, you know, who we gonna deal with today, who they gonna call and say, Scott, you know, you need to meet this person over at the Hit Factory. But we got the call that it was Beyonce, and I just remember him coming in the room like, yo, we got Beyonce. If you ain't downstairs in 15 minutes, I'm leaving you. He was like, regardless. He was like, if you ain't downstairs in 15 minutes, I'm out. So that's when I knew it was for real. And I'm like, shit, I'll be down in 10, don't even worry about it. So we got the call to go see her, and we went over, I think, at the time it was Circle House, and she was playing us the record that the boy I forget, damn,
Paul.
nah, I forget my man's name right now, but his trademark was using horns a lot in his production, and he had did the track for Crazy in Love.
Okay.
So she let us hear that and a couple other things that was being considered for the album, like, you know, so we got to hear a few different directions she was coming with, and we basically had an orientation session with her where she talked about what she wanted, what she liked from what she had, and the direction that she wanted to go for her first solo album. And that was enough for us to say, okay, cool, we're gonna soak that up. And I just kept rerunning her words and calming myself just to be able to just be in the space to deliver whatever had to be delivered, because I knew over the next couple of days we was gonna really get our shot with her. So, you know, me and Scott, by that time, as far as what our thing was, we had kind of become a well-oiled machine, but being able to go in the room and decipher what was creatively best for that artist, for whatever, for whatever we was doing that day, whether it was just me and him coming in and he was officially on the clock making tracks for an artist that we would see in a couple days, or we would see predicated on him sending the tracks to the head A&R or the head person that was taking care of that artist at the label, and if they love what was going on, now we in the studio with them, or we get prepared for them to be in the studio maybe the next 2 days, but we in the studio early. We had went through enough of those scenarios, whereas though when it was time for us to make it on the spot, and and we both kind of knew what could happen from that moment. Like it's a hell of a victory trophy, or it's a hell of a damn, we almost was. And it was either shit or get off the pot, or we was right there with everything that we needed. But because we was seasoned enough with dealing with artists, I was able to come out of the fact that, oh, it's Beyonce, oh, she, the next it chick, and we was able to do what we do as professional producers and consummately lock in on what we need to do and deliver that shit that we need to deliver for that artist.
So from that meeting to y'all completing it, how long did it take y'all?
The next time we went in the studio, we came up with the ingredients that would turn out to be Naughty Girl by the third session. The third session shit was done already. You know what I mean? And then we went to the next vibe. Baby Boy. We start fucking with that, feeling that out. And I'm like, okay, damn, we need a catchy hook. I mean, we need a catchy title for this song. We need something that like people can say and understand what it means, and it's going to be cool. So just like with my rap records, straight up from the giddy up and shit like that, I'm like, this need to be something where she being flirtatious, kind of romantic and lovey-dovey about something. And then I just worked it in my mind until Baby Boy came out. But Baby Boy was what my mom used to call me. Okay. You know what I mean? When I was in my teens, just starting to get, come out of being a baby. And that, and I'm sure that was the term a lot of people use, but it was a term that was being, that we knew what it meant in our culture. So, it went from, I used it from a term of affection from mother to son to, baby boy, you stay on my mind. Baby boy, you look so damn fine. Baby boy, you know what I mean? And we just kept working the idea until it became something that was catchy and melodic. You know what I mean? And we worked that into something. And then I said, damn, we need something extra special on this because it's a reggae joint. we need a real reggae feature on this, because it was a time of you get the right feature
Right.
on somebody that they was already looking to win. You got a double win. So true to form, called my man J1's. You know what I mean? My man J1's the rep, 24/7, keeping his step. You know, and he was making his runs from running with us. Now he was what he was to us, to damn near everybody he was working with. So he was a vicious point man, and he knew Sean Paul to the point where, as though he had played his part for Sean Paul, to the point where he could call on Sean Paul for a favor here and there. I said, man, we need something extra special. We're talking to my manager Derek at the time, and was like, yo, we need that Sean Paul. We need that Sean Paul on this. Called my man Wands. Between him and Derek, they made it happen. We sent it to Sean Paul. He sent it back. You know what I mean? You got in the rock top girl with the you know, and it was on.
Now, all those songs are hot on that album. And of course, you know, they were award-winning records. And but my favorite song that you wrote for Beyonce is Me, Myself, and I. I just want to know, how did you come up with that concept for a female? Because that song is crazy. I love that record.
Going again, that was another saying that, you know, was part of my colloquial phrasing, and that, you know, we would use a lot at the time. You know what I mean? Like, you know, my man Jake the Strip at the time, you know, we was real tight at the time. You know, he would always say, you know, me, myself, and I, that's who I depend on. You know, that's who I know I could depend on. That's who I know who ain't gonna front on me and do me wrong. You know what I mean? So if I'm going out for anybody, it's me, myself, and I. You know, and you know, when you start rumbling through your mental Rolodex and you start to think about certain things, you know, and you trying to match to the energy of the track, or what you feel like the personality of the track would be if it was a person. You know, you start going through different scenarios, and then I thought about a situation that was really something I had went through. But then I said, man, it'd be dope if I flip this and make her the main character, take me out of it, put her into it, and, you know, put her in a situation of being in a relationship and having to go through the ups and downs of being in a relationship with the wrong person, or a person to take advantage. And, you know, at some point in time, you know, the relationship got to come to an end. But in that, you still learn a lot, and you become stronger, you know what I mean, for the next thing you go through, because you finally realize that being in a relationship is dope only if both of y'all want to be in it.
Right.
And if it's an amicable joint. You know, because if not, then you only gonna come back around to the only person that got you and is really looking out for you is you, me, myself, and I. So that was basically a situation that had happened to me with an older chick that had some paper, you know what I mean, and, you know, was an it girl of her era. We met and there was some things going on, and I found out a lot of things through dealing with her about life. And in the end, you know, I found out, you know, that at the end, it's all fly messing with this person or that person, or the so-called it girl of the era. But if the shit, you know, if and when the shit don't work out, all you got is yourself. So don't lose yourself in somebody else. Appreciate that somebody else, but don't lose yourself, because you might have to come back to the only thing you got is you.
Yeah, I can tell from listening to that song that song came from a special place.
Yeah, and I knew that would make her seem relatable and cast a hint of vulnerability to her persona, because at that point, you know, everything was expected to be peaches and cream for her. She was the Black Barbie doll. You know, it went from this type of record to that type of record, all the female empowerment shit with the independent women and the this and that. So everything was kind of looking like it was always working for Beyonce. Nobody knew about if she ever had any problems, or if she felt heartbreak, or a nigga ever played in her face. You know what I mean? And, you know, which, you know, the average woman goes through a lot. You know, they go through ups and downs with these relationships and the men they deal with. So for her to put out a record where she wasn't perfect. Everything wasn't happening glorious for her all throughout the record, and she was dealing with real life problems. It was, it endeared her to a lot of women. You know what I mean? And I think that was the start of the Beehive.
Yeah. That song right there.
That was a change in
Because instead of looking up to Beyonce, they could identify because they kind of feel like, damn, she know what I'm going through, or damn, she went through some of the same shit I went through. So now it's a relate, through their pain and their struggle. The same, you know what I mean? Kind of like how Mary J. Blige always had women relate to her through the shit she was going through. Now she had one.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's what that record was about.
So you pretty much responsible for the Beehive, huh?
I mean,
with that song.
I mean, I think in a lot of ways that was the start of the Beehive for sure. Because that's when they started looking at Beyonce for a cultural figure, somebody that they could really lock in with, not just aspire to be or be like, dang, I wish I was the it girl like her. Or I wish I had the blonde straight, whatever. And I had a nigga like Jay, after me. Now it was like, no,
I
could deal with you just on being a woman and dealing with the shit that we out here dealing with as women.
Yeah, she going through some of the stuff that I go through.
Yeah, and that's staying power.
Right.
That's longevity.
So through the creative process, of creating, and you guys are in the studio, y'all taking info on what she looking for, you inputting that and coming back with a song. How was it for you doing all that and then hearing Beyonce on your finished product? Like, what was that first time y'all pushed play and heard the finish?
For me, it was just like, damn, I knew it was going to sound like this. Like I knew she just needed to get on it and put her voice on this shit, and I knew it was going to be that. You know what I mean? So it was kind of like the Thriller, just shit coming out just like you imagined it. You know what I mean? It's like, damn, this shit right. You know what I mean? More so, we got a hit. Like,
that thing was
now
crazy.
my manager, he did that. He did the we got a hit dance when he came in. You know what I mean? He looked at me and he was like, shit, shit crazy.
Which song though? Me, Myself, and I. All
Everyone.
of them? Okay.
Everyone. By the time he heard all of them in their completed form or like close to completion, he was like, oh,
it's over.
You had something.
nigga, we got the singles.
Yeah.
And little did we all know how much truth to form was being spoke at that time, because we wound up getting all our singles released in succession. So it was back to back to back. I don't think nobody else had their singles come out on her before or since like that. I don't think nobody got a 2-3 song run on her. You know what I mean? So
That was bangers.
it's a monumental, I did my 3-peat like Jordan. You know what I mean? I got,
bangers.
you know what I mean? Me and Scott, we did our 3-peat. You know what I mean? But the one thing I take away from that is when you really focus and you earnestly doing your shit from the right place, you're a dangerous motherfucker. Because that's when records like that come up. You know what I mean? So, that's what I'm proud
You
about.
was in your true element.
We was in our true element, so true shit came out.
I once heard this one saying, it's like, some people like, oh man, like, oh, he was lucky. But and Phil can attest to this, but it's like being the right person at the right time.
Yeah,
he was the right person at the right time.
It wasn't no luck about that, because
that's laboring under correct knowledge.
that was cultivated over years.
Luck,
that came from poetry to rap to
everything you've been
to
through.
melodic songwriting.
Right.
And it was years and months in between that, and different points of learning and then application of what you learned. So by the time we got there, we had properly took our trek, to be able to do what we did.
All right, so time out real quick. All right, so now, how old were you at that time?
Like young, early 30s.
Okay, so by this time, we're going to say basically you've done 16 years in the game, 15 to 16 years in the industry at that time.
Man, let me see. I started at 16, so by the time 2003, I was about 36. So at that time, you say 20 years in the game.
20 years.
20 years in the game. So when people say I got lucky,
That is
Nah,
not
you
love.
got that. You put the time in.
You go out there and get lucky then. Roll the dice.
Right.
See and see how easy it is for you to get 3 on the baddest chick in the game wearing big homie chain. Fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Now, after making those Grammy Award winning records, did you feel pressure to live up to that expectation moving forward?
Nope. The only thing that I wish I would have done a little bit more was lock in and stay and
Stay in that mode.
stay less indulgent of the trappings that came with being a hit songwriter and writing hits. You know what I mean?
You want to elaborate on that? Some of those things.
Just little less indulgence of the things of the spoils.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Fresh benefits.
To remain fresh and not get into any type of surrealism of the game or any type of fantasy island type of vibes like, oh, this shit is so, oh, you know what I mean? We're doing this now. I gotta eat here. I'm doing this now. I'm only going over here. Like,
not feeling yourself.
I pulled myself in and out of that at different stages, but it was hard not to keep going back in.
Right.
You know what I mean? Just because of the things that was, available to you or easy, easy to get into. You know what I mean? It's more important that you remain a consummate artist when you start popping than get into the star side of it. Because you could do that shit whenever, for real. Right. You could decide you want to go get fresh, you want to go jump on a plane, you want to go ahead, but don't make that your everyday get down. Stay close to what got you there. You know what I mean? Stay doing the shit that keep the family close. All the simple pleasures that now you could do times 10 because you got enough. Everything ain't got to be super over the top because you'll get to the point where all you trying to do is top yourself. You know what I mean? You don't want to get into the point where you're trying to top yourself consciously. You want to easily, organically be doing it because you're keeping the juices flowing the right way. You know what I mean?
So tell us, what's Robert EST Wall up to now? Any recent projects you working on? I know you guys working on the Philly Legends of Hip Hop tour with DJ Cash Money Marvelous and Schoolie D. How's that working out?
We got there's a couple things going on. Like, of course, we got the Philly Hip Hop Legends tour in the process, working out more dates and different places we want to take that, and bringing in different people who want to invest in single dates and multiple dates for that. And we thinking about how we want to diversify the lineup. After we do our initial run. Also, still songwriting. Of course, it's some potential Summer Walker work.
Okay.
In the works.
That's gonna be crazy.
Yeah. Some stuff I did with my nephew, CJ Hilton.
Shout out to CJ.
Yeah, shout out. You know what I mean? With my girl 7 Streeter.
Wow.
Something that he pulled me in on that he was doing with her that may turn out to be, something crazy that y'all might like.
I think both of them projects gonna be hot. Summer Walker and 7.
And also, it's a project that I'm working on for a minute, and we're not rushing it because we're just trying to make sure that every track or everything that we try to bring to the table for consideration is right. It's a project I'm doing with Ab Lava called LORN, which is an acronym for Last of the Real Niggas. So that's a project me and him gonna be working on. Also, a project that I want to do with PD Crack after that called Wavy Boys. That'll just be a celebration of everything that we love about Philly hip hop and the fun fly side of Philly hip hop, because that's what I think Crack really embodies the most, while still keeping it, you know, original to the North Philadelphian in him, and letting you know ain't nothing sweet, but keeping it more so in a jovial, fly party atmosphere. You know what I
One of your
mean?
favorite Philly artists,
Definitely.
Petey, right?
Yeah, definitely one of my favorite Philly artists, Petey.
Shout out to Petey
Yeah,
Crack.
Petey in my
Yeah,
top
shout
five.
Shout out to the whole state property.
You know what I mean? Legendary Lefty, as well as the whole State P, Emilio Sparks. You know what I mean? My man Freeway Freezer. You know, the Broad Street Bully, VC. You know what I mean? Young Chris, Neef. You know what I mean? And that man, one of the most outspoken members of the crew, but that boy Oskino,
Oh yeah.
that boy Oskino Vasquez.
Yeah, people
You know what I mean?
people always mistake me and O for each other all the time.
Hey, well, you know, some people got similar traits. You know, the tribes is deep. You know what I mean? And then I also got something that I'm toying around with, which is a 808 jazz infused a jazz album called Burgundy that I want to explore with me, Jeff Bradshaw, and my man Robert Business Thomas. That's like one of my main collaboration partners, you know what I mean? And my man Steve McKee, who I look at as, you know, the second illest drummer that ever come from the city. You know, we got Questlove as the first on the, you know, on the drum and the hip hop side of things, but I think, you know, my man Steve McKee is right there with that, you know what I mean? Right there bringing up the rear with that number 2.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And man, I'm doing a lot of new and refreshing things for a project that I'm gonna do solo, and then we doing some things, you know, that's expressive and expansive right now. It might take us a couple more minutes to figure out the way we want to do it. And we also working with Reese, you know, his folks. You know, he has a very tight symbiotic connection with the artist known as Reese. You know, and she's been doing a lot of dope stuff, DJing and exploring the vibes differently too. But you know, I got some things that we're gonna do with her musically, and you know, reintroduce her to the world in a different vibe.
That's what's up.
You know,
man.
so we just got work to do, man.
Constantly working, man.
Yeah,
Constantly working.
yeah. You know what I mean? We got work to do. So
So
different
kind of
directions.
so kind of going through your, you know, as we just kind of pretty much went through your life, man. So, you know, the 80s, the 90s, early 2000s, 2010, 2020, you know what I'm saying? That's a lot of years, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So what, like when it's all said and done, man, like what, and I asked you this question before, man, you know, it's like, what do you want them to remember you as? Like what kind of legacy, you know what I mean? You know, when it's all said and done, like, hey, you know what? Rob E.S.T. Waller, this is him. You know what I mean?
I want them to remember me for originality, you know, the level I stepped into the game with, the way I brought freshness and originality to the game, and you know, the strength of, you know, my prodigies that worked alongside of me or came through me, you know, like my nephew, you know what I mean? He's one of the brightest lights and energies that I've seen in the studio since, like, you know, I've worked with people like Beyonce and Seal and different people that just have a definite energy. Like his other mentor besides me is a brother by the name of Salam Remy. And you know, I think with both of those tutelages affecting him, he just metamorphosized into such a full-on one-stop shop creative body. Like you know, he's working with any and everybody right now, and not in just one capacity. You know, he's doing production, mixing, engineering, you know, writing, and he's dangerous at every facet of the game. You know, and he's kind of like a 2.0 version of myself.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because, you know, he could do everything. You know what I mean?
And this is your nephew?
Yeah.
What type of artist is he, bro?
Well, artist-wise for him, Young Soul, You know what I mean? Real soul, classic. Like we trained them to sound like Marvin and to have that kind of energy and to kind of have that kind of sultriness, and kept, you know, being able to capture you, you know, as an artist, and an artist capacity. He's in that deep blue, that burgundy, that, you know, that kind of social, turn down the lights kind of music. You know what I mean? But he can also take it up and give you that dope party joint, that extra soulful party joint. He could touch the new sound, and any type of genre, you know, that we would want to go. Production wise, we all over the place, and it sounds authentic in each genre that we might want to go to. So, you know, he's just working with a lot of people. You know, everybody from the Marley family, you know, to new artists coming out. This one female, I forget her name right now, but she kind of like has the qualities of like a Amy Winehouse, authentically, that you haven't heard since her. And he's working on her music and so many other things that it's really just going to be a treat. That, you know, when it's all said and done, for me, the continuation is him. You know what I mean? And
others.
And others,
yeah.
You know, that I helped along the way, whether it was just teaching them how to really become a deeper thinker when they writing records, or how to approach time and melody. You know what I mean? I just want to be known for the things that I brought to the game. You know what I mean? And the life it took on after I was gone.
Well, you definitely already created a legacy with everything you did, you know, from the beginning of your career to now. So I definitely can say that that's already solidified.
Yeah, so, you know, now we just learning to appreciate the legacy. We living with it and we grooving, you know what I mean? So when people say, "What's up, legend?" When people, you know, go out their way to give me my flowers, or make sure that I know I got my flowers from them, I take it with a grain of salt. I fully appreciate it, but I also know, don't let that gas you. We not done. It's more fire, it's more life. So stay creating it, so you got more to appreciate, you know, when you look over your creative family book. You know, you could really understand that you was out there really doing your thing, and you affected people, and you helped people get to their journey along the way too. You know what I mean? And, you know, so you can have a full circle in the game. You know what I mean? And hopefully you wind up being able to eat the lion's share off of what you do before you stop working. That's my goal now.
Well, I'm definitely looking forward to see what's going to happen in the future, and I'm pretty sure we're going to have some more Grammy Award winning hits out here coming from Mr. EST Waller, and you know, we're gonna go ahead and get you on out of here. You know, thank you for coming through to the pod.
No
You know
doubt.
what I mean?
Definitely.
We definitely gonna have you back. I'm your host, Dwayne Weathers.
Phil White.
My man, Rondé Jones, R.O.
You know what I mean? This is the pod. Weather the Storm Entertainment presents the pod. We got Grammy Award winning Robert EST Waller here. We'd like to thank y'all for tuning in. Make sure you check us out. We out.
Peace.
And on that note, we gonna close it with this.
You feel me? Shout out to my man Chuck Nice on the beats.
Cheers. Landscaping, lyrically shaping, from Satan. Exclusive malls, get yours. Like I said before, I don't own the rights to these copyrights to this music, but this man does. You're fabricated.
Shout out to my nephew Wak Nitty and the whole Goosebumps family.
Shout out to Philly, all the Philly artists. 3 times dope, Chuck Nice, Woody Wood, JDS. I'm gonna get you up here, JDS. We see you out there.
Shout out to that boy the world famous DJ Cash Money. Shout out to the homie Marvelous. Shout out to the original gangster rapper Schoolie D. You heard? And shout out to my sister Bahamadia. You heard?
Philly hip hop legends. Yes, it's the ES. The man you can't understand. Much funky on the FM band. You'll find my bombshell rocking you well.
The record we sell like a speedy Lamborghini. We're bound to excel.
Down, make it happen.
Yeah.
Smoke a few L's. Chill.
With the fluid.
Watch this game get ready to come on. It's already on, but you know. It's a dope body.
Gotta bite my tongue, I'm so high strung. I love you just the same. Cold getting business and Raleigh in the funky dope razzmatism. Coming with the clarity.
With the new wave afro, EST, the unusual fellow.